Typical security guard. I am driving to work right now, running a little bit late. It's a beautiful day. It's Saturday. If you guys are off today, I hope that you enjoy yourself. I will say this before I get into what I want to talk about. It dawned on me that, like, I've been in Portland for 4 years. The vast majority of the time that I've been here, I've been unhappy. It's been very stressful. It's been very difficult. It's been a lot. So, we never know how much time we have left. And it's not lost on me that, like, I live in an area where if you get outside of Portland, Oregon is a beautiful state. There's a lot of great things about Oregon. There's a lot of great things that I should have taken more advantage of while I was here in this area. So just being grateful and being thankful. And I have a feeling of being thankful this morning. Just driving and looking around. It's like, you know what? You should be more grateful for your circumstances. You should be more thankful. So if you're off today, try and get out, enjoy yourself, try and get some sun, try and have a good day. If you're working today, be happy that you have a job, that you're able to pay your bills. You know what I mean? A lot of people are in that situation. So I guess my message at the onset of what we're talking about today is just try and be grateful today. Be a little bit more happy. What I want to talk about today is a lesson from Trump. And this really resonates with me, guys. I wish that I could go back and make different choices in my life. One of the biggest mistakes that I ever made in my life was having an affair about 17 years ago. Guys, we're talking almost 2 decades, almost 20 years ago. The fact that I had an affair while I was married, I can go back to that point in my life, and I can draw a direct parallel to where the vast majority of my failures, my mistakes, my issues, all of it stems from that one decision. And when you look at where Trump is right now, okay, and I don't want to talk about the political aspects of the election, whether or not you agree with him, whether or not you support him. I just want to talk about the fact that the linchpin to a lot of his, the linchpin to the conviction that he has right now, the 34 felonies that he has right now, the one thing that they've been able to get to stick out of everything that they've thrown at this guy, out of everything that they've tried to pin on this guy, the one thing that he cannot shake, and the one thing that he cannot get away from, the one thing that's often brought up in terms of his character, in terms of, who he is as a person, the one thing that you cannot get away from is that he did have an affair with a porn star, cheating on his wife. Now, each individual family is able to deal with that information in their situations and relationships however they see fit. None of us have the right to tell any wife or husband that they have to divorce their partner, or that they have to view those types of situations the way that other people view them. My point is that that is one aspect of his life and character that has been held over him. And that has happened to me. Every law enforcement position that I've interviewed for, and I've interviewed for 4. So since 2019, I've interviewed for 4 law enforcement positions. Each one, the conversation around my affair has come up because me having an affair at work led to me getting terminated. So I have to disclose with every, potential, I don't want to say high power or high ranking job, but definitely a job of that stature working in law enforcement. I have to disclose that I was terminated. And the conversation always comes up. Why were you terminated? What were the circumstances? And I have to explain that while working on the job, I had an extramarital affair. Something that was so insignificant in terms of the amount of time that I spent with this person, how important that person was at that point in time, and the fact that I have zero contact with this person now. What I got out of that experience versus what it's cost me over the almost 20 years is not equal in comparison. Also taken to the fact that, you know, that led to me getting a divorce. It led to me, you know, having a very strained relationship with my children that even to this day is still an issue. I'm still trying to repair that. I'm still trying to repair relationships with my kids, my image in terms of like how people viewed me, what they thought of me, all of that suffered. And I think that if we look at what this one sexual encounter that Trump had with this person, if you were to ask him, was it worth the cost? We know the price, right? Like there's a price for everything. And even if you put what he paid to have her go away or to be quiet, you know, there's a price associated with that. But what does it cost him? And I know that like if you're young, if you're a young man, if you're a man in general, no one can tell you. No one can tell you, hey man, like just take a deep breath, think about this 20-minute, 45-minute, couple of hours situation that you're thinking about getting yourself into. This might have a ripple effect that can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars if you're in the situation, you know, like Trump. And this can cost you opportunity. This can cost you relationships. I don't think that most people think about the cost. And there is a cost associated. So if I can offer any advice to my fellow men out there, if I can offer any advice to people that are half my age, if you're in your 20s right now and you're looking at your life, it's lined up in front of you. Maybe you don't have children, maybe you don't have a wife, maybe you do, maybe you have young kids. You're thinking to yourself like, what do I want out of life? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to get out of this? What do I want to see happen? This is one misstep that time and time again, I mean, we could go down the list of famous people right now in the public eye that are suffering grave consequences based on their sexual past, sexual impropriety, decisions that they've made, people that they've associated with or aligned themselves with. It's literally like probably the oldest the oldest issue and scandal that everyone throughout the entirety timeline of life in history has dealt with. It's in the Bible. It's in every great story. Man's inability to keep it in his pants. Okay? I really want you, I really want you guys to think about this Trump situation only looking at what I'm talking about right now in terms of what this one decision has ultimately cost him. Okay? Taking everything else out of the equation and just looking at that. And man, if I could go back and stop myself from making that stupid decision, there's so many things in my life that would be different, so many relationships that would be different, opportunities that I would be able to take advantage of. And I'm not saying that like that situation has precluded me from getting hired. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that have precluded me from getting hired and making me want to even go down that path, but it's something that continues to come up, and it's something that has come up. And I'm like watching this whole thing and watching this trial, and I'm like, man, the parallels of people who have found themselves in this very same situation and what it's cost them. So if you care at all to get any advice from an aging man, my advice is to understand that there is a greater cost associated with making that decision than you could ever imagine. And even if you get away with it, so to speak, I know you don't think this right now, but the emotional toll, it carries a weight as well. So buyer beware, okay? I just wanted to share that with you guys. Let me pull over and see if we got any comments before I get into the parking spot here. Oh my God. D says, my bro's wife had 9 affairs over 8 years. They have 2 kids under 7. She left her kids last week to be with a guy 14 years younger than her. The kids don't understand why she left, as they were too young. Yeah, that's horrible. Man, I can't even talk about it without crying, man. Like, I remember the day that I got kicked out of my house and fucking moved all the way across the country. KDXBX says it hits even deeper if you're spiritual. Gucci says, easier said than done. Women be looking great. Hey, they do. They do, man. Hey, you ain't lying, and you're not telling me nothing that I don't know and that I don't agree with. But that's the thing, man. Like, everything looks great at the moment, right? Guys, I used to be in amazing shape. You know, pizza looks great. Nachos look great. Tacos look great. Whiskey looks great. Like, everything, pretty much anything that looks good and enjoyable is not good for you in excess. And that includes pretty women. Yeah. Wes FX says, thank you for wearing your pants around your waist, brother. I do my best to be a respectable black man. Thank you. I do my best. Hello from Dubai. Julian, I would love to go to Dubai one day. I want to be balling out enough to go to Dubai. Someone says it's hard to have discipline, especially when you don't play entire tape out. Yeah, oh my God. It's hard to behave with discipline, especially when you don't play the entire tape out. Guys, this will be the last thing that I'll leave you with, right? So my ex-brother-in-law is a Air Force Combat Control commander. You know, when I first started dating his sister, I think he was 14. So I watched this guy from the age of 14 to 18. He was into lacrosse, or maybe, I don't know if is it lacrosse or field hockey, whatever guys play. I don't know what it is. Into one of those sports. He played football. He was a wrestler. He was so disciplined. He was the kind of kid that, you know, on Christmas Eve, if the families were together, he would get up and he would go do a 6-mile run, come home, do his exercises, stretch, you know, tape his hockey stick, and then come up for breakfast. Like, he was doing this when he was 14, 15 years old. I was in the military at the time, and when he was a senior in high school, maybe he was a junior, he came and visited us on base, and I took him around, showed him everything. And the way that he carried himself when he was introducing himself to, you know, the people in my unit, they were like, man, this kid's got a lot of promise. They attached themselves to him so quickly. And before you know it, like, people were reaching out to him. They were like, hey, we want to get you in the Air Force Academy. Like, what he was doing in sports, he was a Christian. He was so disciplined. He was focused, and he knew that he wanted to do something, but he didn't know exactly what it was. Once he associated himself with the Air Force, they started showing him this path. It was like they could tell that he was the kind of guy that was going to be successful. His grades were great, right? So they start all, you know, sending him information and talking to him, and before you know it, he's sitting in front of senators and congressmen, and they're like, we're going to push this guy. They get him into the Air Force Academy. He plays football for the Air Force Academy. He graduates, goes into Special Forces, and just tears it apart. I mean, From the time that I met him at 14 to now, there was never a doubt that his path was going to be, you know, point A to point B, high school to success, because he was so disciplined. He had discipline, and it was internal. It wasn't like someone was making him do this. He didn't have a father who had his thumb on him. He was just internally disciplined. And I think that we see that the people who are truly successful in any realm of life, there's an aspect of discipline to how they carry themselves. And you could say that as successful as Trump has been, the one thing that most people can point to as being a downfall is that he isn't disciplined, right? In various aspects of his life, he's not disciplined. His inability to control his sexual desires is probably one of the greatest things that we can point to in terms of his lack of discipline. And ultimately, that's been the thing in 2024 that's come back to bite him. Will he still be able to win the election? I believe so. You know, I'm hopeful that he wins the election. But man, you can't downplay the importance that lack of discipline has played in his situation. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble today. Again, it's Saturday. I hope you guys have a great day. Go out there and have some fun today. Do something that makes you happy. Tell all the people in your life that you love them. And you guys go out there and crush it. All right? All right.